Welcome to the Light, Camera, Rant Podcast. Your source for the latest on movies, TV shows, and video games. Get ready for ranting, raving, and reviewing. Here is your host, Lee.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Lights, Camera, Rant. As always, I'm your wonderful host, Mr. Rant, and I've got a very special guest. I've got Andy from the Galactic Core podcast, and we are going to wrap up Andor Season 2, the last 3 episodes. The big question is, after 2 seasons, was this actually worth leading up to Rogue? Andy, glad to get you back-to-back over the past 2 weeks.
Sorry, man. I think my froze screen for a moment there. My screen froze for a moment there. The lovely joys of internet connection.
Always fantastic.
Yes, I don't know what's going on with my thing. I was just trying to turn things up and it all just froze for a minute. But amazing, buddy. Thank you very much for having me on. I really do appreciate it. 2 weeks in a row is always worry about a little bit of fatigue in terms of people seeing this beautiful face for 2 weeks in a row. But I absolutely appreciate you having me back on, buddy, especially to talk about finale of Andor. Because theoretically, this kind of means we've done it together like 3 weeks in a row. Because we had like 2 weeks on your show, we had the week before on mine. So it's...
That's true, actually, yeah. That's 3 weeks in a row, almost 4.
But absolute pleasure to be here to chat about it.
No, I'm glad to have you back, man. You are the Star Wars man, and especially leading into, as we were just talking before we went live, is that this is the last Star Wars TV show for the rest of the year, and there's no release date for Ahsoka Season 2.
Yeah, it's a bit sad. I mean, we obviously get Visions Volume 3, but it's not like legit Star Wars, really, is it? So it's going to be a shame that this is it for another year. Marvel are pumping out everything still, really, and Star Wars are dragging their heels.
Well, yeah. Well, at least the next 2 years...
Like the date that didn't want to get a prom with you, she's dragging her heels behind.
Pretty much. You're like, don't worry, I know you want a piece of this, so you're going to follow me. You're going to follow me.
True.
But as we discussed as well, that even though we don't get anything now, we are meant to get a brand new Star Wars movie for the next 2 years.
Yeah, at least that's something. And Mandalorian Grogu next year, then the Sean Levy, Ryan Gosling Starfighter 2027. I am still looking forward to that, to be fair, because in more recent years, I got more into Ryan Gosling as an actor and enjoyed what he's been doing and enjoy him as an actor as well. And let's face it, he's not exactly bad to look at if you're into that sort of thing. So could be worse. Pilots are about to get a lot hotter in 2027.
Damn right, Star Pilots.
Indeed, yeah.
And apparently it's meant to be, or was that Rogue Squadron? It was basically meant to be Top Gun in space.
Yeah. Let's see how that goes.
Yeah, that's technically what we're meant to get with Starfighter, but we'll see. We'll see how this is, because it's going to be a sequel to The Rise of Skywalker. It's going to be set 5 years, so it's almost brand new characters that we're going to see. But at the same time, is anyone going to make an appearance?
You'd think maybe here and there, but I mean, it's going to have to be some sort of comment on the state of the galaxy after the defeat of the First Order and stuff, isn't there? So,
well, that's it. There's going to have to be something about the rebellion and what's been happening 5 years later.
The new Republic.
Yes, the new Republic, like in Futurama, New York.
Exactly. So yeah, I might see a couple of faces around, I think, especially if they're doing. Although to be fair, there weren't that many Resistance pilots probably left after the Battle of Exegol, so maybe we don't see any familiar faces. To be fair, just name drops perhaps.
Yeah. Oh, Finn, whatever he's doing.
Or Rose Tico, she's going to be there, like engineer on your ship.
I almost forgot about Rose. We all remember the big impact that Rose made.
Because
I'm here to save you, Finn.
Let's not.
Yeah. But before we get into Andor Season 2, we've had a few trailers drop this week, news-wise. Which is probably the biggest one that, first trailer, technically the biggest one that's been well overdue, because the fact that we're currently only like 30 days out from it dropping, is Ironheart.
Finally something from Marvel at least. Like, whether you like the character, don't like the character, doesn't really matter. At least we finally got something to put towards anticipation for this show. We know this this was all filmed, like the series was filmed, what, like 2-3 years ago now,
Yep. Yeah.
after Wakanda Forever. So it's just kind of like, finally, let's get it. So, yeah, good to see some action finally, and a little bit of what's going on, a little bit of anticipation to what's coming. Am I still hyped for it? Not overly. I think when Marvel don't put that much effort into it, you're probably not be that bothered as the consumer as well. And because obviously everyone just calls it the replacement Iron Man, so it's like it's never going to live up to the Iron Man hype that we got. And so it's
No.
got a few things against it, which is a shame. But when you got Ryan Coogler, he's what, the executive producer or whatever it is of the show.
Yes.
He's dealt with the character already, and she wasn't bad in Wakanda Forever, to be fair. Apart from the suit looking like a Power Ranger, a modern day Power Ranger, I think there could be some good things that come out of this. The Hood being the sort of the villain but in the trailer he looked like he was going to be like someone who was supporting her and obviously for his own nefarious reasons, but appearing as a friend type thing. And finally, do we get Mephisto?
Yeah. Finally. And just to go back, yeah. So I'm just having a look right now. We are right. The principal filming wrapped up early November 2022.
So, what, like 2.5 years ago, let's say.
Yeah.
And they've been sat on this for 2.5 years.
And so that's how long it's been sitting in the bank, the Marvel bank.
God knows why. We don't know why. I mean, it's not like it was COVID 2.5 years ago. So why they've decided to sit on it for so long, and obviously Marvel, the only reason, Kevin Feige is the only one that knows the real reasons why they've sat on it for so long. Doesn't give you too much confidence and faith. I hope it's good. I get the feeling they're going to pull an Echo on us and just drop all the episodes at once rather than it be like a week by week.
They haven't mentioned how they're going to drop it, because with Daredevil they dropped 3, 1, 1, 3, 1, 1, or 2.
2, yeah.
2. Yeah, they dropped it in that order. And the hard thing is, this show, not saying people have forgotten, but when you look back, Wakanda Forever was about 3 and a bit years ago now. And we haven't seen this character pop up anywhere else. And we're going into this off the back of Daredevil Born Again, which has arguably been one of the most anticipated Marvel TV shows since Marvel announcing the fact they are making Marvel TV shows. This is right up there with the demand of what we want to see.
Yeah.
And then we're coming into this, that I'm really glad Ryan Coogler's on board. But even though I watched the trailer, I must admit, I was just a bit like, yeah, this looks kind of mid.
I mean, yeah, there was nothing to maybe super excite about it or to hype you up about it, enough to keep you sort of interested. But at the same point, it just always nags in the back of the head. It's like, this is the knockoff Iron Man now. This is the replacement Iron Man, because it's all leading to like the Young Avengers team.
Yes.
We've got the new Hawkeye, we've got Ms. Marvel, we've got Wiccan and whatever, and we're going to get probably Cassie Lang part of that as well, and obviously putting Ironheart in there as well towards Young Avengers. So yeah, it just screams that it's a B team in a way, or the new generation of the same characters that we always had. So I just hope that it is good, because the worst thing that could happen to this show is the fact that it's absolute dog shit.
Well, that's it. And look, I don't think it's going to be as controversial as what She-Hulk was. That's for sure. I don't think that's going to happen. But I don't... I hope it blows me away. I hope it does something completely different. But at this stage, I could probably see that this probably gets skipped right over, and Marvel Zombies be better.
I mean, that's something I'm looking forward to, Marvel Zombies, because I love the What If episodes what they did with the Marvel Zombies. So to get an animated show around that is funnily something I'm looking forward to more. it's just so sad that the fact that, like we've just already said, they've just sat on this for so long. There doesn't seem to be any hype around it. Marvel don't seem to be hyping it, which just doesn't give me the confidence. I seem to be a bit of a Debbie Downer at the moment anyway, with all my, like, I'm viewing everything and going, this just doesn't look good, this doesn't look great, I'm not feeling this. So I'm hoping to go in this one with absolutely zero expectation and be pleasantly surprised.
This is awful. This is awful. I hate everything. Where's more Star Wars?
Well, Star Wars finally got good. That was rubbish to start with.
Yeah. Which we'll get into. But I must admit, like, at least the when I saw the poster for it, I think the poster was good. The red and
Yeah, the poster looked alright. Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool. And then I was like, still, this looks off. So according to this, Ironheart will have only 6 episodes, but the first 3 episodes will be dropping on day 1.
So it's going to be like 4 weeks then.
Yep, it's going to be 4 weeks.
So 3-episode drop to start with, just to get it all over and done with. So we can do the first episode of our podcast after it comes out and go, well, we're already halfway through the show.
Yeah. So, yeah, pretty much. That's where it. Ironheart was originally scheduled to debut in late 2023. I remember that. Then it was delayed, but then it was removed. Scheduled for September 23. Yeah. So, yeah, it was originally meant to come out 2 years ago.
Oh, well.
Oh, well, look, let's just get that out of the can and then on to bigger and better things, especially this week that they announced, Fallout Season 2 for December this year.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Yes, which I'm half excited for, but at the same time, like, you better not be doing that fucking half drop. Here's 4 episodes this side of the Christmas, and another 4 episodes Christmas after what we did with Invincible.
Well, hopefully not. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed season 1. I thought it was maybe a bit overhyped for the amount of, like, celebration it got. Because I've never actually played the Fallout games, so I don't know the story from, like, the games or anything like that. So it was one of those ones that I got to go into, a bit like The Last of Us, where I'd not played the games, strangely enough, and just got to go into it as, like, an outsider almost. So watching Fallout, and I'm like, yeah, it was decent. I enjoyed it. I don't think it was, like, top tier, but I'm still excited to see where they go season 2.
So am I. And look, even though you haven't played the video games, it was pretty spot on. Like, it was pretty spot on capturing the entire world.
So I've heard, yeah.
And like, it was really good. But unfortunately, what's happening with Last of Us at the moment is a bit a shame.
I don't know. I've not been watching season 2 yet. It'll be something I'll get around to at the end when it's done. Watch it all and binge it.
Binge it, yeah. At the moment, right now, I need to go. I'm about 3 episodes behind. In saying that, because these 3 episode dumps with Andor have been like, all right, I need to watch an hour and a half. Actually, no, nearly 2 hours of this. Sitting before I can go back and watch it. But then we will be reviewing next week, and then next week also kicks off with Big Mouth final season.
Nice.
That's on Netflix. And the other trailer that we got this week was Superman. We got the second trailer for Superman, which from Mark, you didn't like it.
It's weird because, like, watching when the first teaser trailer came out, I think I was like, obviously we were all pretty hyped to that because they're like the first, Superman thing in a while, or the first new DCU big thing anyway, and you're there like wanting it to be so good, and the teaser trailer didn't look too bad. Like the synth music or the using synth to do like the Superman theme, I don't think quite hit from the teaser trailer. So I was hoping more of like a proper give you tingles in the back of your neck sort of one, because the music matters in these types of things. These theme tunes that have been around for like 45 years or whatever, they're important, they matter, and they add to the ambience, which is something Star Wars does so well in terms of using its music and its theme tunes for. And so I was like, okay, when they release a proper full-on trailer, you need it to really hit the spot. And to me, I've seen so many people obviously falling head over heels for this trailer, talking how amazing it is. Like on James Gunn's personal Instagram page when he released the trailer, I was reading through the comments going, not one person here apparently has anything bad to say about this trailer whatsoever. So either they're all head over heels for it, or there's some serious arse licking going on here. Whereas I watched it and I sat there at the end of it and went, I feel terrible because I didn't come out of that feeling hyped or feeling excited for the film. I was thinking, this looks kind of mid. It felt like there was too much going on. Like, there seems to be a lot going on just from the trailer.
Yeah.
And it just didn't, again, that synth music just didn't give me the hype for the theme tune that I wanted. They've obviously made some adjustments, like it's been well documented, like the scene where he gets the can or whatever thrown in the back of his head. They've deleted the blinking because people were criticising it, saying, other Supermen got a fucking bullet in the eye and he didn't even blink. So why is this dude blinking when a can hits his head?
What a such a wild thing to me. It was picked up. I was like, I mean, cool, yep.
But yeah, I just watched this and go, there seems to be a lot going on. They seem to have to cram a lot into this film. There's a lot of characters, a lot seems to be going on. I just hope it's not too much. And yeah, I just felt I actually genuinely felt bad that I came out this going, I don't feel excited about this. Again, not to put it down to it, but my own personal headspace and things at the moment isn't in 100% glorious position. So maybe that contributes a little bit to when I sit there and go, nah, shit. But you know what I mean?
Awful,
So I really, the bottom of my soul hopes this is good because the DCU needs this to be a good film. And just part of me is just screaming, going, it's not gonna be.
Yeah, look, I'm halfway there with you in the sense that it did, like the first trailer I thought did hit. I was like, yeah, loving the vibe, bring it on, let's see it. But this trailer did. I was like, I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm more leaning towards it now in my order. It's Fantastic Four, Jurassic World Rebirth, then Superman, and it looks like again. Too much is going on, and it could suffer the same thing as Spider-Man 3 of too many characters at once, too many villains, if you will, going on. So maybe that too much, like you're trying to set up too much of like, hey, here's Superman year 2 basically in his life. Here's the fact you're Luther, and here's the Justice League, and Earth's getting invaded, and all this. And he's still trying to figure out who he is as Superman.
I think that. Sorry, didn't interrupt.
No, it's alright. Keep going.
Yeah, there's just. I mean, you're right on the fact that like James Gunn had said that he wanted, like the previous, like Henry Cavill Superman, for example, he thought was miserable, and Superman's supposed to project hope. And he goes, so my Superman's going to be happy, and he's going to project hope. But I didn't really see many like happy bits in this. And then like when he's getting interviewed by Lois Lane, he turns around and gets angry. Whereas Superman's supposed to be sympathetic. So like, why is he getting angry and annoyed at like just being interviewed and asked simple questions? The word I was looking for was about the theme tune was nostalgic, like because it's been around for such a long time. You want to feel the nostalgia of the original films, or even like Henry Cavill's version, even down to like Brandon Routh's Superman Returns. Like you want to feel the nostalgia and like it just wash over you, that theme tune. It just doesn't do it. But yeah, so just the action like it's supposed to be good, but it just feels so crossed over with so much going on. As you already mentioned, everything's going on in it. Like there's just so much going on. I just don't think right now the trailer's given the right vibe for what the film is going to be. It feels like it could just be a muddled up mess where the pacing isn't going to be good, is how it feels like to me right now.
No, and I agree with you on that. And I did have a friend comment saying, why does this just look like a CW movie?
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, I mean, because obviously, their Superman and Lois show had got a lot of good reviews. Like, this is what Superman should be like. So they still got some shit that they need to live up to with this film, and it's just starting to get that vibe. Like, it needs to hit that first week running, otherwise it's going to get crushed in the box office. And it's. people placing bets about who's going to do more, like Fantastic Four or Superman. I already think Fantastic Four is going to do more regardless. But if it does not have a good first week because the reviews of it are rubbish, it is going to tank quicker than me in a swimming pool.
Well, I don't know about that, but James Gunn needs a win because this is meant to kick off his DCU. And I was like, big shout out to Mr. DJ Fly High for coming
What's
past
up?
on the YouTube, man. Thank you for coming past, man. Appreciate it, as always. Uh, and you're right, it needs to, yeah, it needs to have that big thing. And what's against him with Fantastic Four is like, don't get me wrong, I think Fantastic Four would still make a shit ton of money at the box office. But because this is the last film entering Avengers Doomsday, and we just got that after credit scene after Thunderbolts, there's a lot more hype riding into this than just a normal Marvel film.
I mean, it's the Fantastic Four, Marvel's first family. It's just like when we. I think this film's going to have the same sort of impact with everyone in terms of the box office hit as when in a year or two time we get the first Marvel MCU X-Men film. Technically, I know we've already had Deadpool technically, but when we get the first proper X-Men film, not just like a Deadpool film, I think it's going to have the same impact and reaction in terms of everyone's going to flock to see it.
Yeah, 100%. Mr. DJ Fly High, I don't know, at least with Andor didn't have characters crying every 2 minutes like every CW show. Yeah, well, no, Andor doesn't have that. No, you can't put Andor and CW in the same category. But James Gunn, Superman, in a CW, yes, you could. And also, like, a big shout out to Eric as well for coming past on YouTube.
Sup, Eric?
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, so, and then with Jurassic World Rebirth,
Oh, I'm hyped for that.
like, it's Jurassic World. And I think people, from the aesthetic, how it's looking and everything, I think people, it looks to me better than the Jurassic World Dominion that we did get.
I mean, I love me some dinosaurs, as my 9-month-old daughter is finding out with all of her toys and clothing.
I thought you were going to say something else completely different just then. I thought you were going to be like, I love me a bit of Scarlo, so I'm still in.
Well, I did say that to my wife the other day. I was like, ScarJo and dinosaurs, I'm in. That's all I needed.
I'm totally in. Eric, I have not seen past episode 3 of season 2 Andor. Decided to start rewatching it from season 1. Need the refresher, so might not stick around too long, but want to stop in. Well, thanks for stopping in, man, and good luck going back for season 1. It's like it's a long haul unless you just watch a recap video.
Some of us watched the series. Yeah.
Wow, James Gunn is not comparable to CW. Lol.
I think he's slightly overhyped though. Like, I think people put him on too high of a pedestal straight away just from the Guardians trilogy.
No, Suicide Squad too.
Yeah, but Suicide Squad was at best a slightly above average film. It wasn't like it was super amazing. Like, you could put most mid-Marvel films above James Gunn's Suicide Squad in placing. Like, if James Gunn's Suicide Squad was in the MCU ranking of films, it would be definitely in the lower half.
Yeah, would, yeah. Well, Peacemaker, you did Peacemaker and that was good.
To be fair, I haven't watched it.
Creature Commandos.
Don't get me started again.
The Suicide Squad was way better than the most MCU movies, in my opinion.
I mean, I'm not saying it's actually a bad film. I think it's a decent film. I just think if it was ranked alongside all MCU films, it would struggle to break into the top half.
It would definitely be above.
You can call it mid-table.
Mid-table. It would be definitely above Thor 2. It would be definitely above. I was going to say Black Widow.
Yeah, I would put it above Black Widow. I don't think Black Widow was great.
Definitely above Black Widow. Above Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Still the only Marvel film I've ever fallen asleep to in the cinema. Guardians 2.
How Mr. DJ, how long before we see James Gunn Superman start crying for no reason? I give it 10 minutes. Why doesn't the public like me?
Why did that guy
Why?
throw a can in my head?
Yeah, why are you? I'll just hey, hey! I saw this once on The Boys. Turns around, beams everywhere. If Homelander can do it, I can do it. And Homelander cries all the time. Guys, you're killing me with these opinions.
I aim to give heart attacks, Eric. Don't worry.
The Suicide Squad was better than the Thor: Love and Thunder. Yes.
Yeah, the
Suicide-
home movies I make by myself was better than Thor: Love and Thunder. So,
Guardians 2 is top tier MCU.
ooh,
I don't know,
I
Guardians,
can't say it's top tier.
Guardians
This is
3,
a personal opinion.
yeah. Guardians 3 and Guardians 1, yes. Guardians 2 just didn't hit for me. Even though it does have a sad death with Yondu and Quill and his dad, but it just didn't hit me with me after I watched it. It was a bit like, all right, on to the next one, a little bit. But then, then in Guardians Galaxy 3, I'm crying. I'm fucking crying like no tomorrow. And that is the reason why I can't go back and watch that again.
To be fair, I need to go and watch it again. I mean, me and the wife have been doing a very slow MCU film only rewatch. And I think we're up. The next one on the list is Thor: Love and Thunder, which means Guardians of the Galaxy 3 isn't too far away.
No.
So I do need to get around to seeing it again, just because I think I've only watched it twice. So I do need to get back up there. I just don't like how everything. I think I went into that film going there wasn't enough, or came out of the film going there wasn't enough death, not enough people died, and everything was wrapped up in a nice tiny bow. And I hate it when they do that.
For Thor:
Like,
Love Thunder.
no, Guardians 3.
Oh, there was a death.
Yeah, but not enough. Like the fact that everyone makes it through all these situations is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they did the whole fake death thing again with Quill. They've already done that like 2 or 3 times. And then just the fact that they type, everyone gets a nice story, everyone goes off to do whatever they want and whatever, and it's just like, cool, okay, thanks for the boring ending.
Yeah. Oh, I still think it was good. I think it was a good ending. It Star-Lord will return. Mr. DJ Fly, hi. Guardians was crap for me, especially when they hyped up Adam Warlock so much, only left underwhelming. Eric, I think I'd put like 5 or 6 MCU movies above Suicide Squad for me. The context is like a 5-star movie for me.
That's a shout out. Only 5 or 6 movies above it. Eric, I'll message you. Tell me which films. I'm just intrigued. Not that I don't want to have a go. I'm just intrigued which 5 or 6 films.
He's gonna have a go at you, Eric. It's a lie. It's a trap. Next, he invites you on your show and he rips through you because you haven't watched something.
How can you cover content and I haven't watched it?
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I know. I'm just intrigued. Like, yeah, only 5 or 6 movies above Suicide Squad from the MCU. Interesting.
Yeah, curious. But like, I do understand Mr. DJ Fly Highs with Adam Warlock.
Yeah, that's fair.
That from what we've seen in the comics, everything he's meant to be, what he's originally meant to be in Infinity War, and then we got him. Like, don't get me wrong, he still made me laugh. He was still funny, but it was like, okay, his costume looked good, but it's annoying at the same time. Like, you have this all-powerful character, and you're not going to be in Doomsday. Like, Star-Lord's not going to turn around and be like, by the way, I know a dude that is as strong as Sentry. By the way, who's Sentry? Who could come and help us?
At the same point, though, there's going to be quite a few strong characters that aren't going to be in Doomsday, and they'll all be in Secret Wars. It's fine.
Well, Amelia Clark's character.
Yeah,
I can't remember her name, but she's got all the powers of the superheroes.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, overpowered character. Yeah, they're interested to see what they do with that. Is she going to appear anywhere ever again? She just disappeared and fucked off.
Yeah, that's like you've just got this being who's got all the powers, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Nah, same powers as Miss Marvel as well.
She's got everything. Got everything.
Yeah, but nah. She's away. She's away, and you get rid of Ben Mickelson, which is a darn shame. You didn't have to do that.
Oh, Ben Mendelsohn. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, that was a darn shame. But yeah, Eric, I wonder what movies that you were referring to. But
Discord. Get in the rant Discord. Let's talk in there.
yeah, damn right. You don't forget. It's called the Ranting Crew. I have a picture of everyone. Thank you, ChatGPT. But and probably the other little trailer. Oh, you haven't watched Peacemaker. We did get the trailer for Peacemaker season 2, and the trailer looks good. But the interesting thing is, he goes into like a door, and there's two Peacemakers. And I saw a whole rumor that was like, is this old DCEU and new DCEU meeting each other? And that's how it's going to explain how he's in this new DCU with James.
Yeah,
Gunn.
because I remember someone asking him, like, is the season 1 canon to the
Yeah.
it like crosses over into like a different universe or whatever, and then goes, oh, certain events are the same in this universe, but some aren't, and therefore, yeah.
That's it, yeah. So that's going to be interesting for it, and that's coming out this year, which I'm excited for. Eric, I got a list of my top 20 comic book movies on my letterbox. Which, if everyone who doesn't know, you should definitely pick up Letterboxd and get it. I'm still trying to grow mine. And I do actually have a bad review coming up of a movie I saw this week that was utter garbage. It was called Hurry Up Tomorrow, and it had The Weekend in it.
Oh, fucking.
And it was bad. It was very bad. I was like, you have 24 lists, Eric. You have 24.
I saw the trailer for the film that you recommended to me last week.
Which one was that one?
Was it Clown in a Cornfield?
Yeah, Clown in a Cornfield, yeah.
Saw the trailer for that, so I was like, okay, that looks interesting. that looks funny enough to be interesting with some gory deaths.
No, yeah, it's surprisingly funny. Like, it's not like just keep your expectations mid. It's just basically just a good time. Marvel Studios projects ranked. I like it. Number 1. What? No, he's got number 1. Oh yeah. Okay, now I know why. Now I know why he's not happy. Number 1 is Avengers Infinity War. Number 2 is Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Number 3 is Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Number 4 is Guardians of the Galaxy. Number 5 is Endgame.
The man cannot be trusted, people.
Yeah. that would be why. Mr. DJ Fly High. I'm curious. Are they going to transition Peacemaker into the Gunverse since Peacemaker was in the Snyderverse? Yes, he will be. Peacemaker will. Yeah, he will be in the James Gunn era, and I think they are going to explain it how. Because, multiverse. So they'll probably just go, he's in another universe, but it's the same events that did happen, because, parallel universes and blah, 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 blah. And, yeah, it's all good. Let's just keep going. He's in.
Although he's already said that the cameo, the Justice League cameo at the end of season 1 isn't canon anymore.
No.
Okay, just pick and choose which moments you want, mate. It's fine.
Yeah, that's pretty much. He's just picking and choosing, and it's a shame because it's a funny moment with Aquaman and Flash.
Yeah, it was because I've seen the clip. Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah. Mr. Eric, I just hope Margot Robbie is still Harley Quinn, but I don't know.
Well, it seems for the most part to be going for a younger crew, and like, no offense to Margot Robbie, she's not the same age as she was in 10 years ago or 9 years ago when she first did Suicide Squad.
But she's still goddamn delicious.
Yeah, she's all right. Yeah. I just think he said he's pretty much going for the most part for a younger cast, so it's probably unlikely. I think that she would come back.
No, it's a darn shame because she was one of the best parts of both Suicide Squad films.
Although he has said that obviously they're not starting this universe off from scratch in terms of characters have already been around for set amounts of time. It's not like you're establishing characters like Marvel is, where they're bringing origin stories out for every new character they have to introduce. They're already saying like, yeah, this is year 2 for Superman. But, when they do Batman: The Brave and the Bold, it's going to be an older Batman with his son. So it'll have been around for a while and stuff like that. So there's still a chance they could bring back Margot Robbie to do it and go Harley. She's been Harley Quinn for ages.
And we'll still get Batman Brave and the Bold before we get the Batman 2. At this rate.
I mean, we might get GTA 6 before Batman 2 if we're lucky.
We better. We fucking better. Also, Eric. But it seems like he's keeping most of the Suicide Squad cast as well. Sydney Sweeney is Harley Quinn. You have my vote. But you won't be better than Margot Robbie.
Yeah, 2 votes is what Lee's looking at.
3. But no, it'd be interesting to see because, well, for example, like one character that isn't following across is, of course, Jason Momoa, because now he'll be playing Lobo.
Yeah. I mean, it's all good. He looks like a Lobo anyway, doesn't he? So
yeah. Eric, I still prefer Margot Robbie. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think we all wish that hopefully she comes back. But majority of the Suicide Squad characters will continue because technically Creature Commandos is in that as well. So also Eric, especially since they're going with an older Batman anyways, yeah. That's very true. So
Madelin's yawning like it's not 9 a.m. where he is.
No, I know. Yeah, I know. Sorry. I need more Irish coffee.
Fair.
But no, those are the biggest trailers that have come out. So pull them back. It's turning into a Marvel ranking episode. Yeah, so that's current set with the latest trailers that have come out. And yeah, look, Superman, it's gonna be interesting. We also did a small teaser of Jurassic World, not a full trailer, but we just get another teaser. And we're on our road to Ironheart, which, as we just spoke about, it's very much like, yes, woo.
Let's get it done.
Yeah. So let's move on to why you are all here. Is Andor Season 2, the final rant. We have the last 3 episodes of arguably one of the best Star Wars TV shows to ever grace the streaming screens. And as we reach to the ending, and especially for you, Andy, because you said that you felt like the season stuff really rough and it wasn't grabbing you at all to this point. And how did you feel coming into these last 3 episodes after the tremendous Gorman episode?
Yeah, I was sorry. Just to answer Eric's question, there, he said it asked if I'm on Letterboxd, and I'm not, by the way, buddy. Not yet, anyway.
Should be. I want to see your reviews.
Yeah, to be fair, I should be on there. It's not a big thing over here. To be fair, in the UK, Letterboxd, it's not a massive thing. But yeah, I'll endeavour to try and get on there. But take care, Eric. I know you're bugging out now. We're about to talk about Andor, so
yeah. See you, Eric.
But yeah, in terms of how I was feeling about it, so I was just wondering what they were going to do with these last 3 episodes, because you'd kind of told Andor's story in this TV series, because these last few episodes are in the days running up to Rogue One, so we pretty much know what's going to happen. After last week when he'd gone through everything that he'd gone through with the massacre and stuff, and then was going to leave, and Bix left for him so he could commit himself to the rebellion. That was kind of it for him, though. He, because this is obviously a year jump after the last week, so it's just the fact that there was nothing really for Andor here in terms of there was not a lot for him to do. It didn't feel like there was going to be a lot for him to do, because you're just waiting for him to get. It's a year on from when Bix left him. He's going to be committed to the rebellion because we know he is. And so there didn't really feel like there was a lot to tell in Andor's story here. It was just setting him up for Rogue One. So I felt this was all going to be about the side characters. Luthen, Dedra, Mon Mothma, possibly Saw Gerrera, and just finding out what happens with them and getting from where they were to Rogue One, essentially. How do they do? Is there going to be any clues in there in terms of like where the information comes from for the Death Star, which we obviously did find out about? Was there going to be any connection to Jin Erso in terms of like was one of the last bits we were going to see them saying, okay, we've got to locate Galen Erso, but hey, we've found his daughter's in Imperial lockup. Let's go get her. So it was all going to be about the connections to Rogue One and just closing out the stories of all the side characters. So I wasn't expecting huge amounts, but you still could feel the weight of it was going to be emotional. And I didn't expect really for it to hit the way that it did in terms of episode or the first episode of this week's ones. And then going into the last bit, which was all set up for Andor to go off to his Rogue One situation.
Yeah, which that like, when he was doing that walk, which we'll get into, I was just a bit like, yeah, soak it in all, buddy, soak it all in because you ain't seeing this anymore. This is your last day on Yavin, buddy. You're about to have a wild 24 hours or 48 hours.
Well, just basically about a week, I think Rogue One, isn't it? So
week. You're about to have a wild time.
yeah.
Going into that. No, and partially the people that we thought were gonna bite the dust did, but to me to kick this all off, I was not expecting Loney's death.
Lonnie, yeah, that was harsh, wasn't it? So, because like after the speech that Luthen gave him in season 1 about hey, everything you've got to give up, yeah, exactly, and he's stayed in place and he's done everything that he's been asked to do for the last 3-4 years, and he's given everything, and then he's pulled out the biggest bit of info he could have got, and he's gone to Luthen with it, and Luthen just threw him away like the fucking trash. That was a really harsh death, to be fair. Not deserved at all. Luthen being Luthen, though, and the fact that he's like closing all the loose ties, loose ends, nothing can try and tie him back to him. Obviously, Dedra obsessed with finding him. Just the shock of obviously getting that info from Lonnie at the start, where he's like, "I've been through everything. I've found what they're doing. The energy program's a lie. It's all pointing towards a super weapon." And obviously, he tells Luthen, who tells Clea. And then Luthen's like, I'm going to go back to the shop and do the burn, fucking destroy everything, and we're out of here. And Dad just shows up.
And which, you were right, but I was surprised about his death. I was just a bit like, oh, damn. But then again, it still adds in, this is dark times. Like, and Luthen, as crazy nut as he is, if you're going to threaten his plan, he's going to kill you. If he's no longer got use for you, and because he's like, I've got kids. He's like, I got my wife. I need to get out of here. I've done everything you've asked, and I've just given you the biggest, juiciest thing about the Empire.
Yeah, and it's just. I did feel bad for Lonnie in the end. He didn't necessarily deserve that.
No, just straight up on a park bench. Yeah, now we're done here, mate. We're done here. And then it leads into Luthen trying to destroy everything in his shop, and Dedra catches up to him. It's a very intense scene, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have the direct quote in front of me, but it was still a fire scene in the fact that, I mean, Luthen's always going to do what he needs to do. I mean, she's obviously, like, the banter between them, or I say banter, like, just the back and forth between them at the start, where they're, like, pretending almost in a way. Yeah. And she's just like, is everything here real? And he's like, everything is real, and just talking about it. And she pulls out the old radio.
That's a good question.
And just the fact that when she's just like, I don't have the quote in front of me, but she's like, I've caught up to you. I've got you essentially, and he's just like, you've got nothing because like the rebellion's not even here anymore. Like they're scattered everywhere, and you're going to spend the rest of your days being disgusted by them because they're out there and they're doing what they need to do. I think in a way it was almost great because Luthen has fought obviously on his own for so long, and we saw it in like a couple of other episodes where he's like, "There's so much going on, I can't keep track anymore. I've
Yes.
lost everything," and he kind of realizes that everything. I think in the last minute, because he's always sort of like, whilst he knows the rebellion has evolved in a way, and it's not just what he set up and what he's inciting now and supporting. You know, you've got the rebellion on Yavin 4 and the alliance that they've put together, and he sort of realizes maybe at the last moment that that's what it is now. Because with him saying that to Dedra, it's like the rebellion's not here anymore. It's not me anymore. It's out there. It's something that you're not going to be able to stop anyway.
Yeah.
And it's good to see him maybe sort of finally realize that after so long of fighting for it just by himself, and true to his word, he's like, we either win or we die. So, and he knew what he had to do in the end.
Yep, and as a typical Dedra, why would you look away from your captive? Why would you look away from him and go, "Oh, look, it's smoking out the back. You're having you cooking something? You cooking something? Oh, you stabbed yourself. Oh, why didn't see that coming? When you just show me the weapon 2 seconds ago."
Yeah, a bit of a shitty move because she's so hell bent on it, on getting him. She just let him think for a second. This guy's got a knife in his hand and he obviously wants to live. Yeah. Whereas Luthen's willing to die for his cause, as he obviously did. But unreal.
He also could have turned around when she looked away and just like stabbed her in the side.
I think Luthen, he's too clever though because she already told him the place is surrounded.
Yeah.
You know, you're not going anywhere. So he's like, if I stab her, I'm just going to get shot myself. Which was still what he would have been fine with, I think. So, but I think it was more about he was wanting to show that he'd sacrificed himself rather than him kill her and then be taken out another way. So,
yeah, which he does. It was a great back and forth, but Dedra's still got in trouble because she crossed the line. She she wasn't meant to be hunting Axis anymore. And obviously she's feeling fine after what happened with Quill. God. Fuck, what was it? What was his name? Fuck.
Luthen, are you talking about? Sorry.
No. Her boyfriend.
Oh, Cyril.
Sorry, because we're just talking about Quill, and I just got that totally mixed. I was like, it's not Quill. Cyril. So she's totally fine. Like, she looks fine after what happened with him.
Yeah, but it's been a year.
True, but like, I don't know. I thought there'd be at least something that should still be a bit like twitchy hand or something.
I was always thinking it's going to be a year. She's going to be past it. The only time she might bring it up is like, I think we said maybe if she comes face to face with Andor or Cassian, and she found out that he was the last one seen alive with him, so she assumes that he killed him.
Yeah,
that might be one thing, but
also, you know how you made your meme last week about that?
Yeah.
I don't know who you are. I saw another one that's like, "Who are you?" And they did the flashback from Rise of Skywalker, and it's like, Andor Skywalker. I was like, oh god.
Well, I was watching Rogue One last night. Yeah, last night. And obviously, there's the scene near the end when Krennic confronts Jin at the top of the communications tower on Scarif. And he's just like, "Who are you?" And I was just like, "My name is Cassian Andor, like father to a dead mother." Brother to the rebellion.
Yeah.
And I will have my revenge.
My revenge. And father to a son I don't know about.
Don't let's save that one for later.
Oh, he's not happy. He's not happy. Look, just because that's Rey Skywalker right there. It doesn't matter. But yeah, we'll also go with this with Kayla's flashback. We get her whole story, and I did not know this, but the actress, this was her first acting thing since her leaving actor school, which is bloody insane.
Yeah, some people get all the good jobs. Where's my acting role in Star Wars?
Yeah, like you're out of acting school. Your majority of scenes are going to be with Luthen, and the fact that you play such a crucial role through this whole overarching arc of Andor, which I'm really glad. Spoilers. I'm really glad that she didn't die. That she got to see what Luthen didn't get to see.
Yeah, I mean, I guess throughout the series or season 2, you don't think her role's maybe even that big or that important. Like, yep, she's obviously doing stuff underneath the leaves in terms of like messages, setting things
Her
up.
assistant. Her
Yeah,
assistant.
but it never came across as feeling like it was that important. If you know what I mean, like in terms of it didn't feel like she was like a top dog or anything like that. And then at the end, you realise just how important she really was to everything. And she's like one of the heroes of the rebellion now.
She is, and I'm really glad they got out of the apartment building with her, because I did think, I was like, if she did die here, it would be a real darn shame. And
Yeah, I mean,
I agree with Andor. You've got the message. Come with me and tell the people. Don't tell me.
there's so much in Rogue One that sort of hits a little bit different now, where you have added things to think about. So it was the fact that, like, when Cassian's saying to Jin, he's like, "You've got to come to the council and tell them the message about the Death Star from that you saw from Saw." And she's like, "Well, we all heard the message. You can go." And he's like, "No, trust me, you need to be there." And then now you can think, I had to take Claire with me, and they were still fucking pissy about it in the first place when they got told first time round. And then you add like the fact that Jin's the only one that's seen this message, and while she's told everyone, he's like, "No, you're the one. You've got to come back and fucking tell it, because that's what happened with Claire." And so it all kind of hits a little bit different now. And yeah, seeing her backstory as like a kid, and obviously a bit more about Luthen as well, and the fact that he was part of a police force and turned his back on there and became sort of master of antiquities, but also teaching Claire about how to rebel properly and do it in a way that means you're not going to get caught and you're not going to be obvious about it. But the fact that what she's gone through, and the fact that this guy has pretty much raised her, and whilst he's like, she's like, "Am I your daughter now?" And he's like, "If the situation suits it, yeah." But they obviously have been like father and daughter, and the fact that she knew immediately when he was captured and he was still alive or being kept alive, what she had to do, regardless of how she felt. So this is like their sacrifice for the rebellion. The fact that Luthen was always like, we either win or we die. Those are the only two options. And Clay is obviously embodying that fact, and the fact she's found her way, snuck into a secure level at the hospital, taking out some fucking stormtroopers with some one-shot headshots, amazingly, and then obviously disconnected his life support. And obviously that episode was like, I don't think I've ever seen an episode of Star Wars where a main character has sort of died and they've just like lingered so long, and the fact that like obviously he disconnected and he like has his final breath, and they just focus on him at the end for like a good 15-20 seconds until it just sort of faded out. I don't think I've ever seen. I'm not a fan of drawn out deaths in any capacity for main characters, because it becomes too martyrish in a way. But this was almost like deserving, because he is the father of the rebellion now. He's the man that effectively starts it all and puts it all together. I've seen children squabbling online about who's more important to the rebellion, Luthen or Luke Skywalker. And it's because they're like, oh, no one could do what Luke did for rebellion in terms of using the Force to blow up a Death Star, going and leaving the mission on Endor because he was endangering his friends and confronting the two most powerful Sith in the galaxy, and walking out as the only one alive at the end of it, and all this sort of stuff. But I'm like, Luthen walked so Luke Skywalker could run. That is how I look at it. So you can't have, like, everything Luthen did allowed Luke to do what he was able to do, and you couldn't. The rebellion couldn't have done what they did without either of those people. So it's not about who's more important or who's more relevant. It's like one couldn't do without the other. Like Luke couldn't do what he did without Luthen setting it up, but Luthen needed to set it up to allow then someone like Luke to be able to do that, because otherwise they weren't going to win.
Yeah, and I guess it's the question is like, who's more important, the person who started or the person who finished it?
Yeah. They both have their merits and both deserve to be there, both be held in high esteem now. So, Luthen and Claire deserve to be up there for me in terms of important heroes of the rebellion.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you take also, we're just looking at both those two and Luke. If you put an Andor into that equation,
yeah, I mean, you can't even say that as well. Yeah.
And Mon Mothma in that equation as well.
I mean, we already sort of knew Mon Mothma was important because she left. We already knew it from Rebels if we've watched it. That she that she obviously left her place in the Senate. Did the speech that brought all the different rebel cells together, and swelled the ranks of the rebellion to where it was. So it's everyone's important in their own way, even down to obviously the tiny people who think they're not doing much. People that are just maybe cooking the meals or stacking up supplies or whatever. But at the end of the day, you can't do any rebellion without any of them. But obviously, some people are more important. Obviously, that's why there's generals and admirals and people in charge. Even though half this fucking council, I don't think deserve to be in charge, just because they're senators. Fuck it. I mean, I'm sure we'll get to that big scene with the council and Andor having that speech, but
yeah, we're going to. Yeah, we're going to get into that. But we after what happens with the hospital, after what was Luthen, then we get then we get lead to with Dedra and Krennic.
yeah.
Because Dedra is completely like, why are you here? What have I done wrong? I've got Luthen. I've brought you the man that we've been trying to capture for so long. Why am I not being praised?
Yeah, it's always funny when you're like, oh shit, so there's far more going on than I know about. Yeah. And like the way that she got played, in the fact that Lonnie obviously had her access for like a year and then used it, and Krennic thinking that she's been part of the whole thing or given him access, and she obviously, like she said, she got communications or emails and decided not to disclose that the fact that they weren't for her, and read the information and kept it and stuff like that. So it doesn't look good for her because she's been stupid, and she's like, they always try and justify it. I've had to scavenge because I got fuck all from you lot. So, I have to have this info. So it's just great that Krennic shows up, and like the scene where he like puts the finger on top of the head as he talks to her, apparently it was completely improvised. So again, Ben Mendelsohn doing great stuff, and obviously Denise Gough, who plays Dedra, reacting great to it, and she's like, "Oh shit!" But I saw a great thing in the fact that, like, because we'll obviously get to it later on as well. But obviously, the head of the ISB, what was his name? Where's on my fucking list here?
I actually can't remember his name at all. I don't actually make people remember.
Padagast or something. Partagaz, sorry. Yeah. Obviously, he's in the shit because he knew about the Death Star, but information's been leaked on his watch, so he's going to go in trouble. And presumably, he was being called into a meeting with Vader or Palpatine or someone who was going to, who's going to get the fucking shit done anyway, and he kills himself. Yeah. But I saw that thing of like, there's always a bigger fish. Because you had like Cyril going to Dedra, going to Krennic, going to Dedra, going to Partagaz, going to Krennic, going to Vader, going to Palpatine. It's like there's always a bigger fish up the line, and you're always going to be in the shit.
That's it. There's always a bigger fish, and a few of those are actually dead now or in incarceration.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just Dedra getting fucking done over by Krennic was amazing. Because she just doesn't realise, for all the information that they do and for the jobs they do, just does not realise what's going on above her head.
No. And yet he says, like, say it. Say it. Say my name. I mean, say it. Death Star. I did see someone clip that on TikTok, and when she says Death Star, it, like, flips to a whole thing of, like, it getting built and everything. I'm like, yeah. And it's funny because I look at it and go, oh no, I can't believe this is getting built and everything. I'm like, yeah, but then it blows up and then there's a second one in just a short amount of time.
Well, it's because they knew how to do the first one, so it didn't take them 19 years to do the second one because they'd already built one once before.
Yeah, well, that's true. And then they make a third one.
Well, okay, they convert a planet a little bit different, but
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But no, that whole scene, and she knew as soon as she finds out the fact that Luthen's dead, without knowing anything. But yeah, that's just, that was such a great scene, and like everything starts wrapping up. Everything starts, how do you know about Death Star? How do you know about so how do you know about all this? Like it starts falling into place that we've been going into, and which leads to the raid to get Kayla out and save, which turns into a very intense operation scene.
It's funny.
Funny, yeah. Oh, that's probably one of my little gripes. Like, I know everything's justified and everything, but I do kind of wish K2SO was in this a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I almost did anticipate him being in it earlier than obviously than he comes into it, but obviously what he adds into it is brilliant. Just
Yeah.
in brute force
Whack.
terms, but are you with us? No.
Yeah,
Just picking a guy up, slams into the ground, and kicks the other one in the chest. And then obviously goes up to where they're having the raid, or whether on the floor where they're going to have it. And obviously takes the couple out, and then uses the ISB supervisor as a shield.
I know. I was like,
It's just
oh my
dragging him
god.
across. It's just holding, waving in front of him, and just as he's getting shot 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times,
Yeah.
and then throws him at the other guy, who then flings it across the hall. Brilliant.
I have made a path.
It's just what you need, isn't it? When you need backup, that's what you need.
Yeah, he's the dude that you need to come in. And I did feel whether he's like, you're welcome. You're welcome.
I mean, what I did like though is that the way that Cassian interacts with K2, because obviously it's having watched Rogue One, and the fact that he doesn't answer him half the time, or doesn't, or just gives him short responses and just gives him an order. It's exactly how he treated him in these episodes. So it's good to see that sort of continuity rather than like you'd think maybe in Rogue One they've been together long enough to the fact that they built up that relationship, but obviously these are only days before it. So it's the fact that at least it's the continuity wise it's correct, and that's nice to see as well from a nitpicking point of view.
Yeah. I know, I agree. Like, it makes sense going to Rogue One, which right now, I just saw this morning on the news, well, on my Facebook feed, or sorry,
Number
Instagram feed,
one.
whatever, is number one movie currently streaming.
Well, yeah, because
Oh, Disney
essentially it's. I mean, if people say that this season of Andor has been 4 arcs, then Rogue One is arc 5.
Well, that's right. And I saw someone's post that peak Star Wars trilogy, Andor season 1, season 2, Rogue One.
I mean, everything's bought off into little trilogies now, isn't it? Because obviously, we know obviously the films in general are trilogies, but then you close off everything in between it as well, in terms of the other series being made, and it's just it's just a nice little thing. I mean, it's almost weird in a way because obviously the way that this last arc is days leading right up to minutes before Rogue One. Rogue One is then and it ends an hour before A New Hope, and then you go into A New Hope, and it's just like
Yeah.
it's an incomplete timeline now.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a flow-on effect of TV show, movie, and then bigger movie.
I mean, just to sidetrack a bit before we get back into the episodes, but it brought up an interesting issue for me now. So, obviously, I've got a young daughter, and one day she's going to be sentient enough to start watching Star Wars properly rather than just knowing it's on the TV with me watching it. And it brings up the dilemma of what order do I now watch Star Wars in? So, do you still go back in originally straight off with A New Hope? And then go, okay, so here's obviously the prequel to A New Hope in terms of, Andor and Rogue One, so this is how you get it. Or, because, you could start someone fresh who's never seen Star Wars off with Andor Season 1 and just go, look, because they kind of almost set up the rebellion throughout the 2 seasons of Andor. So by the time you get to Rogue One and then A New Hope, you've got the rebellion in place. You only know Vader. You never see Palpatine at all again, so you still don't see Palpatine. You've heard his name, but you still don't see him until Episode 5. And Vader, the only time you see him before his proper interactions with everything is fucking killing the shit out of everyone in Rogue One as well.
Yeah.
So it's like it doesn't lose the magic of Vader. In fact, it almost elevates it if you did it in that way, because people say obviously Vader is terrifying and he's top tier villain in The New Hope, even though he only has 12 minutes of screen time or something. You add into that the first time you really see him is force choking someone, Krennic in Rogue One, and then the end scene where he's killing the shit out of everyone. And then you go into A New Hope and you're like, holy fuck, where these next 3 films are going to be centered around him and his son. And you're like, holy fuck, this dude is badass.
Yeah.
It's fucking awful. So it kind of elevates it now. It's like, where would you start someone off who's never watched it before? Can you do it straight from the original trilogy like everyone else has done in their entire lives? Or can you start it with Andor Season 1 where it shows the build-up of and the building of a rebellion and what they've sacrificed to get where they are and how shit the Empire is? Because we actually do get to see that. It's not something you initially get from A New Hope. You're like, okay, these are the bad guys. This is Empire bad, rebellion good. but setting up how bad they really are before you get to the original trilogy is now something that you can actually do. And it just raises to me a really good question of how do you start someone off who's never seen Star Wars? Like, I think for my kid, with the fact that like you could probably show like a 3 or 4 year old A New Hope and it would be fine. Andor's maybe too complex to start off a young kid with. But I think for someone who's obviously a bit older, you know, an adult or a teenager or whatever, you could start off with Andor, and it'd be really interesting to see how they build up with the Empire and the Rebellion before we actually get to the main characters of Star Wars.
Yeah, the hard thing is you're right. Like, probably for a kid, depending on the age, it's probably best to stick with the movies. The hard thing, the grainy thing, which is, you know, no one's fault, and it's just because of the timing, is that when you try and watch it in that order, Andor, Rogue One, and then you go to watch New Hope, you're just like, damn, like, just, you know, the age of the films.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Hits so hard, you're a bit like, oh.
You do have to explain. It comes out obviously a long time ago.
Yeah. But it just adds in that thing is like, how do you bring someone new into Star Wars now? And like, for example, like, you know, we're getting Mando and the Grogu movie, right? Actually, sorry, let me pull back. We're getting Ahsoka season 2, which is obviously a sequel to the original trilogy. And then we're getting into Mando and Grogu, which is still set in that sort of time frame. And then we're getting Starfighter, which is actually a sequel to the brand new trilogy. It's 5 years. So the timeline is obviously getting so much bigger. Yet, you know, as fans, I might like this, I might like that, but I don't like everything.
I think that's part of what makes it beautiful, and the fact that it's not linear. It hasn't never been.
No.
I mean, you had the original 3, you had the prequels.
Thank you, Coach Lucas.
Yeah, you had the prequels, then you had the sequels, and in between the sequels, you had bits filling in. So we had Rogue One, we had Solo. We've now got TV series that are filling in, you know, post-original trilogy. So running at the same time as the sequel. And then rushing to show things like the whole Grogu Force healing. That episode where he does that in Mandalorian for the first time came out the day before The Rise of Skywalker was released, where you see Rey do it. So the fact that they tie things in and go, hey, watch this episode first because something happens in it that connects The Rise of Skywalker that's 30 years later. So, I mean, just talking back to the fact that Marvel's obviously, you know, it's one timeline, everything's in a row. And then James Gunn said he wants the DCU to be more like Star Wars, and the fact that it's not linear. So you can jump around and say, okay, so this actually happened 3 years before Superman did, and this happened 7 years after it. Bit messy, I think, for the DCU to do that. I'm not sure I'm convinced it works when you're doing that storyline, because it's a bit much, because otherwise you are going to be like, I think because Star Wars, it's already established the timeline, like the central timeline of what's happened is put in place before they're now filling in all the gaps around it. So you can jump around because you know what's happened before and after that. Something like the DCU where that it's not established yet. I think you need to have maybe a linear timeline to start with, and then you can start jumping shit around. But it's a good thing about.
I was going to say, because we had just the 6 films to start off with. That's what we all began with.
So because you've got that base of a timeline, you can then go, okay, these are the sequels now. They happen 30 years later. But we're going to go in and fill in a bit of what happened between 3 and 4 because you want to know what happened here. Okay, we're going to do these shows that happen between 6 and 7 because there's 30 years. You've got plenty of time to fill in. So when you've already got a baseline established of a time frame, you can then jump around and you don't have to have it all in order. Jump around. So that's what's good, and that leads to so many Star Wars fans, because some people might go, I'm only here for the prequels, or I'm only here for Mandalorian because I love the shit out of Baby Yoda, or someone going, I'm here for the nitty gritty Andor Rogue One stuff because that matters more to me. At its core, Star Wars is always going to be its most successful when there's lightsabers involved. That is just unfortunately a pure fact. You can say Andor is peak, Rogue One's peak, and it's up there with some of the best Star Wars stuff, but Star Wars will always be at its most successful when there are Force characters involved. Acolyte. Name a better episode or fight scene from any of the most recent Star Wars stuff, apart from what happened in that goes up against the fight scene in the Acolyte.
All of it. No, I would put Andor.
The best bit of the Acolyte by far was the
fights.
stranger killing 7 Jedi, and that peaked Star Wars because Force users were involved, lightsabers were involved, and they did shit that you haven't seen before, using cortosis, wrist things in a helmet to short out lightsabers. You've not seen that before. You've not seen a Sith be so brutal, killing people since Rogue One.
No, but Andor is the better show compared to the Acolyte.
Yeah, overall, yes. But what I mean is that the absolute top things of Star Wars will always be when Force users are involved, because that's what Star Wars was at its when it started, and that's what the peak moments have always been about.
Yeah, when lightsabers touch each other. Yes.
Yeah.
Unlike The Last Jedi.
Well, yeah, okay. There are still some good bits in there, and Force users confronting each other is still at the heart of the story.
Yes, it is, and I agree with you. We said it in our review that probably one of the best things about Acolyte, which was the best things, is after we watched that episode, it was like, yes, I want more of this. And then the rest of the show came in. I was a bit like, I think they missed what I wanted.
But the point standing that the lightsaber action was the best bit, and that individually on its own is peak Star Wars.
Right.
And so Andor is always going to be peak in terms of storytelling, but my point being is that it will never top the best moment. It will never be at the absolute top-rated peak moments of all-time Star Wars because it's not got lightsabers and Force users involved. I mean, how much do we talk? We talk about how good a film Rogue One is, but we always still come back to the Vader hallway scene.
Oh, always, every time.
That's Force user lightsaber. Because that's what peak Star Wars really is.
Yeah, and we actually, it was. Let's say we haven't seen. It was a very rare scene because we've seen Darth Vader be a badass, actually just mowing down people in a hallway scene.
Yeah.
And just the way I still remember in the theater when it just went all black, and then just seeing the. I'm like, no way. And then just this lightsaber ignite being like, yeah.
I mean, I've said it many times as, I'm English, British, whatever, and, we're reserved or we're generally respectful in the cinema. We don't stand up and cheer like the Americans do or anything like that.
Chicken jockey!
But that is one of the rarest moments where I jumped up and shouted and cheered in the cinema when for that. And that's what I mean. It's peak Star Wars.
Yeah, right there. And as we're going back into this, and then they do say, they bring her back to Yavin, and we get to see Bale has finally gone in with the rebel leaders, and we see Andor have the discussion with these leaders about the Death Star plans, which to me, I don't really understand. Like, oh no, this can't. Yes, I know Luthen was crazy, but I'm like, are you really putting this past the Empire that you've been fighting, that they're not making some super weapon, and you honestly think it's an energy resource? Like everything that all of you guys seen so far, it's not like you've seen, the Empire's been fantastic, it's been lovely. Oh, they can't do this. There's no way they would make a weapon. You're literally standing right here, right now, because of how dark they are.
Do you know what vibes this scene gives off in terms of like the Alliance Council? It gives off Jedi Council vibes. The Sith couldn't have possibly returned. They've been extinct for a millennium. They couldn't have returned without us knowing about it. The arrogance of the majority of the Alliance Council, and the fact they're like, we would know about this. They couldn't keep it secret, and it's like, and the fact that they're dismissing it because it's come from Luthen, when they're like, he's had an ISB plant for years. Who got him the information, and just because it's Luthen passing it to you, like what if he got Lonnie to Yavin as he said he was going to do, and Lonnie had given them that information? Would they have ignored it the way that they were, or would they have dismissed it the way that they're trying to do just because Andor's telling them that it's come from Luthen? And then obviously the argument that ensues in terms of like him telling them, like, why are you being like this just because it's come from Luthen? He's like, I just love it when he's like, did any of you know him? Really, it's
Yeah.
like you look at him like he's a crazy person, and he's like, but the reason I'm so sure about this is because I know the good and the bad of Luther. I know what he stood for, and I just love that scene where he has a go at them, and he's just like, any of you sitting here have given a fraction of what he sacrificed for this rebellion. None of this would be here without him.
No.
None of you would be here without him. And they're just like, oh, okay, when was the last time before this you even saw Luthen? He's like, a year ago when he asked me to save Senator Mothma. And he like, mic drop, see you later. And like, Bale's just like, duly noted. Oh, get over yourself, mate. This is the one scene where you actually don't like Bale for once because he's being a dick like the rest of them.
Too. That's what I thought too. I'm like, you can't be like duly noted. I'm like, it was your people that were infiltrated. Like, she would have died without Luthen because of you. Because you're like, oh, just go with the people that I trust.
But yeah, just him dressing down the Alliance Council, and Draven like trying to rein him back in, and he's just like, sod it, you know. He's like, I left Luthen 2 years ago because of he was going a bit too far down the other end of things, and I pledged myself to you lot. But it doesn't mean that he's not crazy or he's not sacrificed everything to set this up. And the fact that they were still like, well, and as obviously the next episode goes on, and they start to realise things more and more as it all starts coming into place and things, and they're like, oh, okay.
I know what's his name? Oh my god, nada, absolutely nada.
What Saw Gerrera?
Yes, sorry, Guerrero. You don't know where I am. You're in Jeddah. You don't know where I am. Like you gotta sit over there. Like we know where you are. Like it's no secret.
I mean, again, it was like a throwaway scene for Saw in a way, kind of like how he was like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. In the fact that you're just throwing him, you're just throwing him in there now just to have that connection to Rogue One. And to show the strain, because obviously they talk about it a little bit with Jin, and they're like, "Why do you need me to introduce you to Saw if you know where he is?" And he's like, "Well, we don't exactly see eye to eye. We haven't got on with him for a while." And this was just another thing to sort of do that and just show the discord between the Alliance and Saw Gerrera's rebels. So throwaway scene, not really needed. Like you could have not had Saw Gerrera in any of this season of Andor, and it wouldn't have made any difference. I don't think.
Just a small camp. Probably, if anything, we just got this scene. Really.
I mean, like I said, everything here was to wrap up the stories of the side characters, but also put as many Rogue One cameos as you possibly could get into these episodes to set it up for Rogue One. That's all it was. So Saw was just another part of that for me. Not needed, not important.
No, I was like, well, now you mentioned Jeddah, because I guess that's the other thing. That's the other thing we're gonna remember with Jeddah, with Urso and Kyber, bring it all in together, and then we see that things are getting more into play. Dedra gets in prison. That's the last thing. She's in prison.
On Narkina 2. Everyone keeps saying Narkina 5 where Cassian was, but it's been confirmed she's on Narkina 2.
Oh, you see? That's why I bring you on. This is why I bring... and with going into... happens with her, Source contacts Cassian and starts making his way onto his final trip.
Yeah, because Tivuk, who's the guy that he meets at the start of Rogue One and then kills when the stormtroopers find them, who gives them the information that Saw's got this pilot that's defected, and it's talking about this Death Star and Galen Erso. We see it in the episode. He's been trying to contact the rebellion like constantly for like a couple of days or whatever, and he'll only speak to Andor. And they're just like, well, if Tivuk's doing this, there's got to be something up. And Draven starting to realise this, and because Bale goes to obviously chat to Andor, and he's just like, well, maybe you and Luthen would get on a bit more well than you think, and he tells him, okay, you've got permission to go. You're gonna go meet this dude.
And 2 seconds before that, K2 is like, The man you don't like is here.
Yeah, brilliant. Like waking up humans is always confusing, and it's like the man who you don't like is here.
Yeah. But he just said it so loud too. Like he's in the doorway, and it's not
Or
a
even
big house either.
when they arrive back from Coruscant, and he's like droid, and he's like hello.
Yeah.
I love KT, to be fair. But yeah, and obviously
what clip did I see the other day? Oh, when in Rogue One when she kills the other military droids, like you didn't know that was me.
Yeah, it's just always good to tie into that.
Yeah. But no, he starts making it, and it's a good scene too. I like how he starts seeing everyone on his way out. It's very much like you could have put like any type of song off music going into this. And it was almost like, again, it's going into this what reminds me of this show is that this show is not going to have a happy ending. It's fantastic to see this all come together, but as he's walking, you're like, that's like, this is the final ride.
They fucking tried, but like to end it on a good note, we'll get to that in a minute. But the fact that you see him suiting up in supposedly his Rogue One gear, slight continuity error in the fact that the scene on the Rings of Kafrine where he does meet Tivik, because you can see it in the picture you got up on the screen. He's got like a light beige coloured shirt on. The scene where he meets Tivik in Rogue One, he's wearing a black shirt underneath his jacket. We don't see him in that until he comes back to Yavin 4, where he first meets Jyn with the council.
Yeah.
So slight continuity there, but I let them off. Maybe he changed into a dark coloured bit when he was on the ship, simply because it was better suited to have a dark coloured shirt on Kafrine.
I'm meeting this guy. I better have black. It's too bright wearing this shirt.
Oh yeah.
And then we get the scene with Krennic looking at the Death Star again.
Yeah, I mean it's good in the fact that because obviously in Rogue One they do show the dish being put into the Death Star.
Yeah.
So it's good the fact that you see it there without it. But yeah, just the walk with Cassian as well, just the walking through and the little stare off he has with that Force healer that it said from the couple of episodes ago or last week's episode or whatever. That you're a messenger and you've got somewhere to be, and he's just staring at her and just like the significance of that. It's a little on the nose. Like I always said, like the conversation he has with her originally is a little on the nose. Like, oh, you've got somewhere that you need to be and you're a messenger. Oh, okay, it's Scarab from Rogue One. Yeah. But it's still
great things.
It's still poignant, I think is the point though, isn't it? So it's still well done. And just getting the little montage at the end where he goes round all the characters. So you see, was it Wilmot with his little side piece back on the Yavin 4.
I know. I was Mon's husband. I was like, Jesus, all right, it didn't take you long.
And we see Saw on Jeddah looking out at the Star Destroyer over the city. And obviously, as you said, Dedra in prison crying when the lights go out because she's now been made a scapegoat and is she's in the system that she was so keen to set up. So justice in a way. I mean, the interesting question is what happens to her at the end of the Galactic War. Like, do you think? Because some people do you think she gets out and she joins the Imperial Remnants? Does she join the amnesty program that we see in The Mandalorian to rehabilitate Imperial officers and get them to join the New Republic as workers?
Yeah.
Her hatred after hunting down Axis for so many years, I'm not sure she would join the amnesty program, to be honest.
No, but she would still have a hate the fact that.
Yeah, I think she wouldn't go and join the Empire Remnants either because the hate of being put in prison for the last 5-6 years.
Yeah, and doing all that work for nothing. Yeah, but it's a shame because she was only following orders because you were so good at your job that you were actually too good.
But she embodies a lot of what I think Imperial officers are, which at the bottom line are cowards because they hide behind the Empire's superiority complex and the fact that they're arrogant fuckers who think they're so much better than everyone else. Because at any point where she's been put into a fight or anything like that, she's fucking panicked her ass off and like shit herself. So yeah, the uprising on Ferrix at the end of season 1, she's saved by Cyril. In the Gorman massacre, she shits herself then and completely panics. Any time where she's confronted with real trouble or real power, she is so overwhelmed by it all. It just goes to show you that it's a good metaphor for a lot of Imperial officers, that they're encouraged and enthused by hiding behind the Empire's superiority complex. When it comes down to it, they've got no balls or guts themselves.
No. Or you get shot off really quickly.
Yeah, fair.
Totally. No. And I think it wrapped up everything nicely. Nothing was too out of place.
Apart from...
why did you not like this?
Ugh.
Why didn't you like that he has a kiddo? That
It's
he doesn't know
so cliche. It's unbelievable that they actually did this. The character's got to live on in some way. So let's give him a son he didn't know about, because like that kid's going to be no more. First of all, that kid is huge for being no more than 4 or 5 months old. Because Bix can't have been more than a month or 2 pregnant when she left, because she had no bump or anything. So you add, this is a year later. So, you add 12 months on top of that. Yeah, the kid's going to be, I would estimate 4 or 5 months old. So having a 9-month-old myself, I know that's fucking huge for a 4 or 5 month old. But no, it's just so cliche and not needed. You don't need to add something onto the character. Like, it's not the first time Star Wars has done this, and it's something that's done in so many other series as well. And in films, it pisses me off a little bit. You don't need to carry on the legacy of the character through a son or through offspring. Let the legacy of the... It's not Poe.
Dameron.
No, it's not Poe Dameron. But yeah, I mean, it's just not needed, and it was just annoying actually that they, like, in a way, no one else is going to have this view apart from me, I guarantee. But in a way, I find it slightly disrespectful to the character that you try to continue his legacy by pulling something like that. By going, he's got a son that he's never going to know, he didn't even know he had, and that son's never going to know its father. Is Bix even going to at any point find out what he actually did for the rebellion in those in that final year? And so she's never going to get to tell that story to her son. She's going to be like, "Oh, by the way, when I was like 2 months pregnant with you, I left your dad. I left him and just left him with a fucking video message in the middle of the night. So I'm actually a bit of a bitch." So I think it disrespects Andor's legacy a little bit by doing that and giving him a random son at the end that he didn't even know about and who's never going to know him or know what he did for the rebellion. Because in a few years, assuming they survive through the original trilogy, what the hell? So if that character comes back at a different part of the timeline and go, "I'm here to avenge my father who died at the hands of the Empire," and I'll fuck off. I don't need that bullshit.
That's it. Andor season 3 right there.
Yes.
Andor Jr.
Set like 15 years after the end of the original trilogy. He turns up in the Thrawn film to help dismantle the last bits of the Imperial remnants.
That would be awesome.
No! Let the legacy of Andor be. It just wasn't needed, and I actually hated that bit, because for that to be the last shot as well. I know people have compared it to the bit of, on the beach on Scarif where Jyn and Andor are hugging before they're hit by the Death Star wave, and it kind of mirrors that a little bit in terms of like the colours and how it looks. But I really that is the. I said early on in this series I was a bit bored, wasn't necessarily enjoying it or feeling it, but I'd never hated any of it. To end on that note, I hated that. You should have just left it with his walkthrough and his journey off then. That's how you should have ended it. Shouldn't have ended it with that. That actually annoyed me. Can you tell?
Yeah, I know. No, I can't really tell, but I can hear your support. I said that you want him to appear in the Thrawn movie. Straight up. You want to hear him. And you want to hear him say Andor Jr. right here.
If that happens, I will end my podcast there and then.
It. I'm done. Oh! I'll hold it to you.
I've said it. If it happens, I'm done. Because the rant that you will get from me if that happens would be unbelievable.
This is the worst thing since Madam Web.
I would need a lot more than a minute to rant about that as well.
No, like I didn't mind it, but I can't say it mind. But you're right. I would have been more happy for it to end just on his walk.
Yeah, it should have. There was no need for that scene.
No. Um. Or it's not
I'm
like
glad she went back and claimed B2EMO because the poor bastard had been left by
I
himself for like 4 years.
know. I know that must be is like the most gut wrenching thing about Andor. I was like, you never came back for him, and
Never.
he said that I'll wait for you and everything. You never came back, so I'm glad we did get that. You remind me about that. I'm glad that she did reclaim him and came back for him because I was like, he wanted to be there right there for you. You prick.
So yeah, nice that we see him happy playing around with the droids and stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
just end it with a walk off. Job done. Fantastic.
Now, Andor season 3 has not been confirmed. Now I'm saying this, so just keep that in mind.
Interesting, actually. Having, like I said, you go back and watch Rogue One now, everything hits a little bit differently because you can think about all these things and you can think about some of the situations and like some of the rants that he goes on and some of the arguments he has with Jin and stuff like that. So, and it just hit all a little bit different now. But one thing that actually was just really weird is when Rogue One starts and they throw up the Rogue One title at the start, they've changed how it looks. Because in all the posters and everything, it's always been like the solid silver writing with like the thing around it. It's a Rogue One. If you go onto Disney Plus now and throw up the start of the film when the Rogue One title comes up, it's now in see-through yellow letters, like the same yellow they use in the Star Wars crawl.
Yeah.
But it's like see-through rather than like it's not filled in the colouring. I mean, so that for some reason now they've gone and changed the title of at the start of the film of Rogue One of how it looks.
You're right. It's meant to be like almost.
So it's almost like the Star Wars crawl writing.
Yeah.
Or it's in the Star Wars font as well, and it's the same yellow that they use for most of the Star Wars crawls and writing.
Why?
Maybe to link it more into the film and the fact that like this is like where Star Wars starts almost. But yeah, it was just a weird thing that they changed. I noticed from watching it the other night. I was like, that's different. That's new. Why have they altered that for no reason?
Yeah. That's strange.
But yeah, I highly recommend to everyone if you haven't done it already, because like Lee already mentioned, it's Rogue One is now the #1 streamed film on Disney Plus. Because it is obviously a direct sequel to the end of the series, if you want to put it that way.
You could not get any more closer.
Literally.
No, that's right. So definitely go watch that. And looking back on this, I remember when they first announced this show, and I was a bit like, do we really need it? Because technically, Rogue One is that going into A New Hope. Do we really need something else leading into Rogue One to then lead into A New Hope?
Prequel to A New Hope to the prequel to Rogue One.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do we really need a prequel on top of a prequel? But now I can honestly say I'm like, yes, this was all peak Star Wars television. Andor Season 1, Andor Season 2 is fantastic. It's been great writing. Yes, there is an argument with a bit long, a bit jarring with the 12 episodes, but overall, it's up there and one of the best Star Wars content that you can go back and rewatch. Into my opinion.
Yeah, it's definitely up there with good Star Wars stuff. It's both series 1 and 2 start off a little bit slow and take a little bit of time for me to get into. And both hit on different facts because like once we get to the prisoner stuff in season 1, it elevates there and it's all really good. This was all about the build up to the Gorman massacre and watching that go down, which was epic once we got to that point as well. I was the same opinion when they announced it. You're like, I don't always like a prequel series where, and this might be a bit ironic considering we could put the same words into the prequel films as well, but where you have something that's done as a prequel where you already know the ending of the characters. So Rogue One, we already know Andor's fate. So like, what could you possibly give us in a TV series that's going to make it worthwhile because we already know his story of what happens at the end of his story. So And you could say the same with Anakin and Darth Vader. In fact, we saw the original trilogy and went, okay, let's go and watch how he becomes Darth Vader. It's like, okay, you can treat this in the same way. Let's watch how Cassian becomes Andor or Captain Andor of the rebellion.
Yeah.
So definitely worth it.
Only keeps that titles for like 4 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing I found a bit, I would say, is a bit maybe over the top is these last 3 episodes have all been rated 9.5 or above on IMDb. So this is the first TV show in history to have 5 consecutive episodes that are rated 9.5 or above,
Yep.
which is mental in its own. I'm not sure these episodes, all 3 of them were worthy of 9.5 or above as a rating individually.
No, like I definitely last week's episodes.
Yeah.
The 3 episodes with Gorman and the aftermath. I was like, yes, 100%, 9.5. Yeah, give that. It's well deserved. Yeah, like I wouldn't. Like I'd say it 9s but I'd say the Gorman episodes were better.
Yeah, I think because it was the build up to the biggest thing of the series was the Gorman massacre. So building up to that and seeing it was immense. So it was all the setup going to the end. So still good, still worthy of being good rated. But 9.5 and above is very, very. We had this discussion in the week about me and my the way I rate stuff. So 9.5 and above is crazy high. But to have a show like Star Wars, to be able to have a record like that where 5 consecutive episodes are rated so highly is insane. Considering you couldn't even put 5 Star Wars films together in a row that could get rated that highly.
Oh no way.
Or actually, to be fair, I would dare you to name. Maybe you can do it now with Andor included with Rogue One in the original trilogy. But before this, you could have even named 5 Star Wars projects in a row that could get 9.5 or above. Let alone, I mean, I don't know, individual episodes are a bit different to an overall project, but you know, the closest we can now come is you could say Andor as a whole, Rogue One, and the original trilogy all together. You could rate those as like in a row 5 successful top tier Star Wars projects.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if we go into it, so yeah, episode 8. Who are you? 9.8. Welcome to the Rebellion. Episode 9. 9.7. Make it stop. 9.6. Who else knows? 9.5. And episode 12. 9.6.
High praise.
Absolutely everything. So the lowest episode was episode 2, was 7.5.
It was only 4 weeks ago, but I'm struggling to even remember. Oh, yeah, it was when he was. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, boring episodes, yeah.
Yeah, that was it. So Andor has really did anything. Yeah. 3 episodes of the original Andor season 1 got 9s. So the last episode got 9.2. The jail, the scene, the raft, if you will, that got 9.5. Episode 6 got 9.1. From the cover from the Spectator local festival, the mission reaches a point of no return. The Eye.
I don't even remember, to be honest.
Oh, I think that's actually the Sorry, I think that was
the Aldani job.
Yeah, I think that's when it all went down.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
Yeah, but that's it. So a lot of 9s in season 2. So the question is, good sir, will you be watching Andor season 1 and season 2 anytime soon, or are you done for a while?
I'd like to give it a while before I could easily go back and watch probably season 1 because I wanted to binge watch it before season 2 and didn't get round to it. So I could easily go back and watch 1, and then if you watch 1, you kind of have to watch 2 because it's the follow-on, and then you have to watch Rogue One, and then you have to watch the original trilogy, and then you have to watch Mandalorian, and then you have to watch the sequels. So yeah, I'll be watching all of Star Wars again.
And by that, I'll be all ready for Starfighter.
I will definitely go back and watch them at some point. It's definitely not a no. I don't know when I'll do it. Probably won't be soon because I like to sit it. I like to let it sit and mellow, and just bask in it for a while before I really watch it, and may have opinions slightly changed, whether for better or worse. Either way, when you always go back and watch something a second time, especially since you already kind of know what's going to happen,
Yeah.
you kind of just want to let it sit for a while and bask in what's been a good series, what's been an enjoyable series, despite maybe a slow start for me personally. It's still elevated itself, kind of like season one. Like I think I said before, season one was a slow starter, and it really did ramp up, and it's been the same for me in season two, especially when you get towards bits where you get I like it when it connects to everything else a bit more. So season one was kind of like its own thing, but you're working towards something, whereas season two was working towards the original trilogy timeline. And so you're getting towards it, and the inclusion of obviously more Rogue One characters, Krennic and K2, and the rebellion themselves. So definitely gets better. I like to let it sit, so I'll go back at some point, but I'll probably give it a while because I just want it to be as good as it is for a while.
Well, don't worry, you got a while until we get Ahsoka 2, that's for sure. But
Yeah.
and yes, I wasn't too with season one. I really wasn't over clamoring for the Rogue One characters because I was a bit like, this is just going to be setting up everything. You're seeing a different part of this, getting more to know about Andor, which they did very well. So that at least because they go into season two, they could show you everything. And
Yeah.
actually, probably another thing. I think we touched on it earlier. Mon. I think they've done a fantastic job with her character, fleshing her out so much.
Yeah.
To what with her being the only second woman in the universe.
Yeah. The actress herself, Genevieve O'Reilly, talked about how she was originally brought in to do some scenes for Revenge of the Sith. They got cut from the film and stuff, but then given the chance throughout, Rogue One, Rebels, where she voiced the character, to come back and do it, and then to get to do a series as well, a proper series. She's like, I got to do more with this character than I ever thought possible, and great job in the fact that we see her in the original trilogy, but only really in episode 6, where she does the little speech about how many Bothans died to bring us this information, and to flesh out a proper character now is it's amazing that you can do this, because that's why Star Wars is so good. Then you can jump around the timeline so much to go out and fill out these characters and make people so more relevant to the story than you ever thought they could be.
No, and that's exactly right. And with what she was in Rogue One. I did. What did I see? I did see someone mention like, how do you go from all this fancy clothing and then you're just wearing cloth? I was like, because she's not on Coruscant. Like, she's such
times are hard. You're with the rebellion. You don't have access to everything.
Yeah,
and just
right.
Absolutely no need to include that scene where we see her husband on Coruscant with some girl he randomly picked up in the taxi.
No,
there was
it's someone's wife. I forgot the name.
No need to show it. There was no need to show it. Really, we didn't give a shit what happened to him.
And Mr. Mark My Words, thanks for coming past the YouTube chat. We're just wrapping up Andor. Mark My Words was the man I was telling you about that said the Superman trailer looks like a CW movie.
Nice.
And he was passionate about that. But you're right. I think that, and that's a great opportunity. The fact that you're in Star Wars, you're in Revenge of the Sith. You play a particular character, which does have a good way of scenes later on, and the fact that they got cut, and you're like, all right, that sucks. I can't play this character again. And then you're like, hey, would you like to come back for Rogue One? Sure, I'm happy to do that. And in a few years, you want to have the opportunity to actually fully flesh out your character, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. She did a great job with the character. Great to see that we got it fleshed out. And I was skeptical with where they went early season with her, and I think I said early on with the wedding scenes, it was like a bit pointless, and like I guess the whole build up for her is showing the stress that she was under, trying to live a life where she's a senator, a high profile senator who often speaks out against what the Empire is doing, and the stress it has on her where she's got to keep her family together, but she's doing things for the rebellion. And at the end, I think it's easy to forget how much she sacrificed for the rebellion, given how much everyone else has sacrificed. When we talked about obviously Luthen and Cassian and others that have sacrificed loads for the rebellion, and the fact that she basically abandoned her family for the rebellion.
Yeah.
They didn't exactly like her much, her husband and her daughter, but the fact that she could have had a comfortable life and just stayed being a senator and had it in easy, and she just decided to throw that all out for the sake of the rebellion. And we're not just talking about the rebellion, but obviously what the rebellion stands for, I think is important. That we talk about the rebellion, people sacrificing things for the rebellion. It's not just the rebellion, and it's what they stood for, the principles that they stand for, and obviously going up against the Empire as well. So fair play to that character, Mon Mothma. Good to see her fleshed out properly now.
I know, and that's probably one character like cool. It's one of those characters which Star Wars is fantastic about. Is like you see one time, you're like, yeah, cool, and then you're like, oh shit. Actually, there's so much more to your character than the 10 seconds I got with you.
Again, it's one of the best points is the fact that you don't have to stick to a linear timeline. You can jump around and go, okay, that character that you saw for 10 seconds in one film, we're going to now make them one of the most important people in Star Wars. In a set timeline.
I know. Any final words for Andor, good sir? Any final wrap-up words for the last live-action TV show of Star Wars for a good amount of time?
It's been a pleasure. I mean, I grumbled early on in the season about it was slow for me. It wasn't moving well.
Did he grumble on? You should go back and listen to it. Oh, it's like an old man rant.
It was justified. I thought it was justified. But I did also say that you have to sometimes wait to the end of the season to see how it all gels together, because taking individual episodes can sometimes not look right or not be great, but when you get to plug everything together, like as I just said, with 1 month of story, at the end you see it all gelled together in terms of expanding the character and filling in bits and stuff like that. And that's what part of this season did with the time jumps, is filling in bits all along the way to gel it all together. We knew where it was going to end up. That was never going to be an issue, but it was just seeing how we got there. It's exactly the same as the prequels with Anakin. Just we know the story, we know how it ends with Cassian. Sometimes I would like to have seen more of Cassian in this series, because I don't actually think we saw as much of him as we could have done. It focused a lot more. Season 1 was a lot more about Cassian. Season 2 was a lot more about the rebellion.
The rebellion, Mon.
So it's good to have characters that you can add new characters in and flesh them out. At the same point, the show's called Andor. Give me a little bit more Andor. Maybe he just turned out to be not as complex as he needed to be, or as he could have been made out to be, and that he didn't need to be more complex than what we saw in season 2, which is fine. So at the end of the day, we got a really good series. We got some of the best moments in Star Wars as well, some of the best speeches, and got to see moments that we always hoped we'd see. So fair play. Not going to complain.
Mon's speech.
Yeah, Mon's speech. Everything leading up to that, because we always wanted to know how we got to that point. I still think we slightly missed it. In a way, it's good you don't have anyone like Vader or the Emperor making appearances in this. At the same point, you kind of miss a trick with the importance of. We spoke about it in Mothma's speech. It's just giving a glance to the Emperor watching it, or coming out of into the Senate to confront her a little bit, would have been like fucking unreal. But I'm not going to complain about what we've got, because at the end of the day, it has been really good. Dare I give it a rating? Probably not right now. I still need to sit on it a little bit, but to give it a conclusive rating, because I still think the early episodes were slow and could have been better, versus what we got in the second half of the series. So I don't necessarily agree that these week's episodes are all so highly rated. They're good. Are they like 9.5s and above? Probably not for me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's just tying a story together that you're emotionally involved with. So that's probably why sometimes it gets rated higher, isn't it? Because you're emotionally connected to it all now after various films and 2 series. So I would give it a rating in the high 8s, probably overall. Maybe an 8.7.
Yeah, if I was giving it,
and that's
10,
high for me. Anyone knows me, that's fucking high.
Out of 10, I'd probably give it an 8.5 out of 9. Oh no, actually, probably 8.5. But the hard thing is, like, there is some like as you said, some fantasy episodes, but it's like there's still the other weight at the other end of this is slow. Like like the forest scenes.
Ridiculous.
Woo! Yeah, fantastic.
Although to be fair, what was the? I was chatting with my wife about this, about the whole deal from season 1 with him trying to find his sister. Just quickly as a last thing as well. So they seem to drop that completely, especially since in the last episode, when he gets woken up by K2, he's having a dream about his sister again.
Yeah.
And so I kind of was thinking about it, going, what was the point in introducing the whole thread in season 1 about him trying to find his sister, and then them completely dropping it? And for me, I was like, I was thinking about this and going, okay, so they introduce this whole plot, they completely drop it, and it was the whole point of it was that the fact that Cassian bought so hard into the idea of the rebellion that nothing else mattered. So again, we go back to the point that Luthen said, we either win or we die. And Cassian bought into the idea of the rebellion, so he left everything about his life, his former life, for the most parts behind. He's not really with anyone that he has been with at different points we've seen him in his past. He's giving everything for the rebellion now. And so into my mind, I'm like, they dropped that because it shows Cassian evolving to be with the rebellion and dropping all of his parts of his former life and going, I'm all about the battle against the Empire to right the wrong of what they're doing.
Anyway, it's like, oh yeah, my sister. Anyway, rebellion. But you're right. Like, it became his mission. It became his most important thing, and his one-way ticket.
Yeah.
But you're all right. They did drop that storyline. They did drop that. I did think about that when he saw his sister. I was a bit like, oh, that's right. That was the whole thing, wasn't it? Guess not. Just not anymore. But look, I want to say a big shout out to Andy. Thank you so much for coming on this past few weeks and wrapping up Andor with us. As always, definitely let everybody know where they can find your fantastic show.
Thank you, as always, buddy. I really appreciate coming. I love coming on this show. As you can see, I've spent my own money to get this stuff. So make sure everyone else is jumping out there to go and get your own Lights, Camera, Rant merch. It's definitely worth it. To be fair, my white hoodie is one of my favourite hoodies. It's so comfortable. It's so nice. And it looks nice. It is good. Because obviously we do use the same people for our merch. And for some reason, my own hoodie just doesn't quite feel as nice. Even though they're technically the exact same hoodie, just with different colours and different logos on them.
That's premium LCR material right there. Right embedded into it.
Yeah, that's why it's so good, because the show is so fucking damn good.
Damn right.
Always, is that why mine feels so shit? Because my show's shit?
No.
No, it's all good, brother. Massively appreciate you coming on. As always, you can find the Galactic Court podcast on Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere else you find a podcast, and also on YouTube, where you can find every episode I've ever done. I think I'm up to like 77, 78 episodes now. So
that's awesome, man.
Getting there, slowly eking towards 100. Might be able to hit the 100 mark before the end of the year. I am taking a break for a few weeks after this, just to have a break, essentially. That's why it's called a break, isn't it? If you want to chat more about Andor, you can always jump onto my show tomorrow, 6 p.m. UK time or 10 a.m. PST. I'll be doing my show to talk about Andor finale with some guests as well. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
And you've got a special guest for that show too, eh?
Yes, I've got the Bitches of Dathomir podcast coming on. They're some great ladies. I'm going to be chatting to them about, they went to Star Wars Celebration in Japan, and they did some great cosplays. So I'm going to be chatting to them a little bit about that, as well as the ending of Andor. They've been on the show once before. My most highly, what's the word I'm looking for? The most viewed episode I've ever had on my podcast. They came on and did. We won't talk about the subject matter. It's fine because it was controversial. But they're a great laugh anyway. They're really insightful and they're really good to chat to. So if you want a bit of a different insight than just mine or Lee's, then please come on, because they know their shit almost as well as I do.
No, definitely go check that. Go check that out, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you, Andy. We're gonna make sure that all your show notes, all your links to your show are going to be in the show notes. And as always, thank you very much to everyone who tunes in every single week. And as always, until next time, happy ranting.
Thanks for listening to Lights, Camera, Rant. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a rating and review, and be